Hello! Today in Laura in a Minute, we're going to be talking about someone that you might have heard of. They're a writer who wrote about Missouri. They have historical sites showing the places where the characters lived, and there's even a pageant that acts out every summer what happened to the people in the book. And the book was a bestseller. So, who was this person who wrote of Missouri? That's right, Harold Bell Wright. Now, Harold Bell Wright is not as well known as he used to be. It seems like bestsellers don't really have a very long shelf life. Even people who I knew as bestsellers when I was a kid have sort of completely disappeared. Redwall, anyone? But anyway, Harold Bell Wright wrote this lovely book. He wrote other books too, but this is called Shepherd of the Hills, and it came out in 1907, and it was a big hit everywhere. People loved Shepherd of the Hills, and I loved it too when I first read it. Let me give you, this is just the dedication, but the entire book is full of beautiful things like this. To Frances, my wife, in memory of that beautiful summer in the Ozark Hills, when, so often, we followed the old trail around the rim of Mutton Hollow, the trail that is nobody knows how old, and from Sammy's Lookout watched the day go over the western ridges. Isn't that beautiful? The trail that nobody knows how old and Sammy's Lookout are two of my favorite places in this book. And it is a really great romance. The main problem with this book is when I read it as a kid, what I thought was the A story, which is Sammy and young Matt and their everyday life and their interaction with the shepherd, I thought that was the A story of the book. Turns out I was completely wrong, that I had totally glossed over what is the A story of the book, and all the stuff I loved about the book is the B story. And the A story is incredibly classist. Now, I'm deliberately using the term classist here, not just because it fits the situation, but I'm using it deliberately because this is not race in terms of how we would say race. There aren't black characters and white characters. There are white characters of two different classes. They would say two different breedings. And one of the sort of horrors of the book is that it, well, I don't want to spoil the ending for you, but it plays a big role in those people aren't like us. And there is also a bit, as part of that story, that is, I don't know if they were actually Klan members or were just supposed to be, but they were coming after Sammy's father, who is white. So there's just a lot about class in here that totally went over my head as a kid, but it may not go over your head, or it may go over your head too, and you'll just get the beautiful story that is at the heart of the book, as long as you don't as long as the story A doesn't bother you too much. I think that you will love The Shepherd of the Hills. And they do a pageant. It's down by Branson, and when we took my first Laura trip, my family went on down to Branson and we stopped. And this cabin is actually one of the ones they talk about in the book, and it and several other cabins that they talk about in the book are still there, and you can go and tour them. And the last I checked, the pageant was still in production. So if you are planning a Laura trip, dip into Shepherd of the Hills and see if you want to visit those places too. And this has been Laura in a Minute.